Hello YouTube. This is my first video. This is what we call History Chats. We will be talking about important events in history. The day, month, year will depend what we talk about. But today specifically, I want to be talking about the Battle of Gettysburg in the Civil War. I want to talk about the important key events in that battle, the events that changed that battle for the best, like Little Round Top and Culp's Hill. Of course, I mean you all know your Gettysburg, I hope. And Pickett's charge. Why was that such a blunder? I hope in this video you will learn the important key events that changed that battle and why the Union had won the war. Now, the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg happened by accident. Um, Basically, General Heath had two of his brigades. He was ordered by General Lee to go into Gettysburg and secure the town, but they were met by General Reynolds. He had two of his brigades, and with that, the two brigades, the Union and the Confederate, fought for. The battle started at 8 a.m. They were fighting for a while. Buford's men eventually couldn't hold the Confederates. Um, they they were holding them for over an hour, waiting for reinforcements. General Reynolds, leader of the Iron Brigade, eventually arrived and helped to assist them on McPherson's Ridge. When Reynolds was deploying his men, unfortunately, he was shot and killed. That led General Doubleday, one of the ranking commanders in the field, to take over. The battle raged for the next couple hours. The Confederate troops attempting to flank the Union counterparts and drive them from the high ground were trying to do that while the whole fighting insisted going on. General Lee got to the battle at 2 p.m. He gave A.P. Hill permission to join the attack on General Meredith and his Iron Brigade. The Union troops couldn't hold the Confederates and were pushed back through Gettysburg. The Union found themselves on, Cemetery Hill. The Union had taken a lot of Confederate lives that day, which fortunately turned out for the best for the Union. Around 4:30 p.m., Major General Winfield Hancock arrived at Cemetery Hill and took overall command of the Union Army from Doubleday. On the orders from General Meade, he realized that was an excellent defense position and continued to deploy the retreating troops of Doubleday. The remains of Meredith's Iron Brigade, they were sent to occupy a defensible position on Culp's Hill. In these events, General Lee was talking to Lieutenant James Longstreet. The two disagreed on what to do during the battle. Lee wanted to do his thing, Longstreet wanted to do his thing. Longstreet insisted that they swing around the Union Army and would cut off their supply line to all the troops, and nothing could come from Washington. This would allow the Confederacy to choose the most strategic location for the battle. General Lee disagreed, though, and believed they should press their advantage. He ordered General Ewell to secure position on the heights if practical. However, the orders were confusing to Ewell, and he failed to attack the Union stronghold before they were sufficiently prepared. Thus, Day 1 ended, but that was only last for a little bit. A funny story, actually, about the Iron Brigade. The Iron Brigade got there. One guy from the Iron Brigade saw the flag of the Confederates. The regiment escapes me, but he went there to try to take the flag. Him and some men were there fighting off the Confederates, and they took the flag eventually, but they were being attacked. So the guy put the flag on the ground from the Iron Brigade, and he was fighting them, holding them off. And a guy from the New York Regiment came up and tried pulling the flag away from the Union. The guy said, "If you try to take this flag one more time, I will shoot you." The guy let go. The Union ran back with the flag. Now that's stuff that doesn't always happen in battle. Now that's actually kind of amazing that it turned out to be a capture of the flag in a way. They went there, got the flag, came back, and that was considered a big what would you say, a big victory for anyone that did that. This happens throughout the war, with one from Wisconsin. Another Army Brigade took another flag, and it belonged to Georgia. The Confederate general, it was close to the end of the war, said, "Who will take this flag and hold it up for the Confederacy?" And a guy said, "I will." And it turned out the guy was from the Iron Brigade, and he took the flag and ran off without any coincidence. But that was basically day 1 of the Battle of Gettysburg. Not much happened, but the next day would turn out to be a complete bloodbath for both sides. Major casualties, major battles happen. Just all-out warfare. Now, this battle, as you know, was a turning point for the Union. But in day 2, you will learn why it was. On the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg, Lee had a big hope, saying, "Oh, we may have lost some men on the first day, but we have enough to push through in this battle." Lee had reconnaissance set up on the Federal lines. The Federal lines, actually, I forgot to mention this, were formed into the shape of a hook, starting from the beginning of Culp's Hill and ended at Big Round Top and Little Round Top. Lee sent Longstreet to take 2 divisions of the First Corps and march towards Little Round Top and Big Round Top until they reached the flank of the Federal forces. This attack would be supported by a division of A.P. Hill's Corps and a total force of nearly 20,000 men. Well, Longstreet, when he was carrying this out, Ewell was ordered to conduct an attack against the Federal right. He was given discretion to mount a full-scale attack should the opportunity present itself. The Federal Army was prepared for Lee's offensive. 6 of the 7 corps had arrived on the battlefield, and Meade deployed his army, like I said, in a fishhook. Culp's Hill and Cemetery Hill were the center, along with Cemetery Ridge, and the extreme left was Little Round Top. Now, Little Round Top, I love hearing about. You know, Chamberlain's big offensive or defensive against the Confederate Army. He pushed and pushed. He had the men there were waves and waves of Confederates attacking that hill. Chamberlain was low on ammo by the end of that. He had he didn't have many troops left as he started out with. But eventually he gave the order to charge. And that charge won that battle of Little Round Top and pushed back the Confederates. The Confederates never, because as you can, the Little Round Top, where Chamberlain was positioned, was the extreme left flank. It was just the extreme left flank of the Union. If that would have fallen, the whole Union army, their lines would have collapsed, basically, and they would have had nothing left to fight with. The Confederates, got pushed back. Basically, after Little Round Top, Ewell actually failed to do what he was told. He didn't fail. He didn't attack till even after Longstreet's onslaught had subsided. The Confederates' effort to storm Cemetery Hill was not very successful. Ewell's attacks were also repulsed at Culp's Hill. Although a foothold was gained near the base of the hill, that foothold would show to do nothing for the Confederates. After the second day, the total of 9,000 casualties. These forces had gained ground, but they could not push the Federals off the hill. Now, on the second day, the third day, Lee had a big confidence in himself. Even though what happened on July 2nd never really shook him that much. But that night of July 2nd, he ordered Longstreet, who had been reinforced by Major General George Pickett's division, to renew his assault on the Federal left. Simultaneously, Ewell, who had also been reinforced, was to storm Culp's Hill. Stewart's cavalry rejoined the army late in the day. He was ordered to march east of Gettysburg and attempt to penetrate the Federal flank, where they might disrupt communications and distract Meade. Meanwhile, Meade had determined to hold this position and await Lee's attack. Culp's Hill, it's a major battle. It was a major battleground of Gettysburg. Ewell was ordered to attack Culp's Hill. With Ewell already there, Lee rode to Longstreet's headquarters to look at the preparations for the attack on the Federal left. Longstreet misunderstood his orders and was planning instead of movement to turn to the Federal left. With the hope of this very coordinated attack now gone, Lee was forced to modify his plans. He determined to shift his main attack to the Federal center on Cemetery Ridge. Longstreet was put in command of this effort. The plan was first to subject the Federal position to bombardment by nearly 140 cannons, and then Pickett's charge happened. They sent Pickett, Pettigrew, and half the Trimble's divisions, it was formerly Heath and Pender's, nearly 12,000 men, forward to smash the Federal center. While Longstreet made his preparations during the morning, Ewell's forces were defeated in the counterattacks on Culp's Hill and withdrew around 11 a.m. At 1 p.m., Longstreet began the bombardment on the Federal line. The Federal Army replied with approximately 80 cannon, and a giant battle ensued, which lasted for nearly 2 hours. After the bombardment, the infantry went forward. This subsequently been known throughout history as Pickett's Charge. Federal artillery, followed by musketry, cut their formation to pieces and inflicted devastating losses. What was left of the Confederate force affected, like a small bit of the Confederate force affected one small push through the Federal lines. It was overwhelmed eventually. The attack was ended. It was a disaster for the Confederate Army. Basically, like I said before, this is why it was a blunder. 5,600 Confederate casualties. Meanwhile, 3 miles east of Gettysburg, Stuart's cavalry was engaged with Federal cavalry under Brigadier General David Gregg. The cavalry clash was indecisive, but Stuart was neutralized and posed no threat to the Federal rear. With the battle pretty much over, Federal losses numbered approximately 23,000, while estimates of Confederate losses range between 20,000 and 28,000. As you can see, the Confederates sustained a bigger loss than the Union. This basically was given by the Confederates, Lee not listening to his generals. Maybe if the generals would have listened, or maybe if Lee would have listened to his generals, something could have happened. Maybe they would have won the war. But if they would have won that battle, and that battle was basically deciding for both Union and Confederate. If the Confederates would have won, they could have pushed all the way up to Washington, but the Union won and held off the Confederates. After the battle, not many of you may know this. A lot of you may. I'm not sure. But General Lee ordered Pickett to, after Pickett's charge, ordered Pickett to reform his division. Pickett responded with, "Sir, I have no division left." Basically, Pickett's division was shattered. What was left was nothing. He had nothing left, nothing to fight with. As you can see, the Battle of Gettysburg played a very important role in how the war played out. Before this, the Union was on a losing streak, but this battle showed that the Union had the strength to win a war. They had the strength to win battles, and with this strength, it gave the North hope on winning the war. And you all know, eventually, the Unions won the war, with Lee signing the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse to General Grant. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my first ever history talks. Yeah, I know a little shaky, but my goal with these history talks is to inform you about battles and history, or points in history that some of you may not know about. With these, I would hope to educate you on what parts of history are important to American history and world history. If you please like this. If you have any questions about the battle, or if you have a suggestion for what we should talk about next, please leave a comment in the comments section. Anything is greatly helpful. If you didn't get enough information from my video, I'll be happy to email back and forth with you. My email will be at the bottom of the video. Please, I will be happy to hear what you guys' responses are. And until next time, keep history alive.